Let me just do proper Hasan analysis to Hasan himself. Okay, there we go.
Israel straight up murking probably hundreds of Palestinian Americans, including one in like the West Bank last week. And America just basically going, you know what we should do? We should cut the funding to the main refugee relief agency. But then like 3 service members are bombed by an Iranian proxy. They're like, oh, it's time to nuke Iran. What are we talking about? And it's like, okay, where is the energy then? Like, what do you mean? Deal with Israel first. They have killed more American citizens than Iran.
I'm not that bad. I'm just a little dab. Just a little jab. I'm fucking around.
Good morning. The attack comes as tensions between the U.S. and Iranian-backed proxy militias are on the rise, and it runs the risk of causing Israel's war with Hamas to erupt into a broader regional conflict. U.S. officials say the troops at that outpost in Jordan had little warning of the incoming drone. The attack came before sunrise early Sunday at an American base in northeast Jordan. CBS News has learned those injured and killed were in sleeping quarters when the armed drone struck. The outpost, known as Tower 22, supports U.S. Special Forces.
What are all those countries doing around our military bases? Like, what the fuck? And now they're even attacking us. Jesus Christ, what has the world come to? The ancient, proud Jordanian state of the United States of America. And they dare step on our territory. Fucking hell.
Is operating inside Syria, where they're under constant threat of attack. President Biden campaigning in South
under constant threat of attack. Imagine I park a tank in front of your house, like right in front of your house. And then I go in front of the news and I say, it is very dangerous here. I am under constant threat of attack. The only thing I've done is park my entire military industrial complex in front of this man's home. They are being very unaccepting. This is not what a democracy is like, or supposed to be like.
South Carolina on Sunday blamed Iranian-backed militias and vowed to retaliate.
We lost a sort of attack on our bases. We shall respond.
Since the Hamas invasion...
I mean, I already said this once. I'm going to say it again. It's a bit controversial what I said. Some people were like confused by what I said, so I guess I need to clear it up, but it's exactly this, and I fucking stand by it. If they want to bomb places for killing American black people, I think they should start much, much fucking closer at home. Even not just black people, but American veterans that keep killing themselves, etc., etc. If you feel so much pain for these 3 Americans of color dying, then maybe you should look at your own state executing them fucking gra-gra-gra style every fucking morning, afternoon, and evening. Okay, maybe, I don't know, fucking bomb Wisconsin, bomb Texas, bomb Chicago. I don't know where the cops killed the most. Fucking hell, they care so much. They care so much. Why do black Americans even need to serve? I always ask myself that question as a foreigner or whatever the fuck, etc., etc. But after more than a few conversations, it's because they want to get out of a fucked up situation in which they are in, because they live in a late stage capitalist, racist fucking hellhole, you know. So sometimes the only choice for working class people in general, but even
for
more
your gaming
so,
needs, subsidiary the Revolutionary Fund.
Thank
Organize, unionize, educate, and solidarity.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Anonymous. Yes, educate and solidarity. Absolutely. And unionize, always. Thank you very much. This is very, very, very kind donor of you. Thank you for the $170. But yeah, and they have no choice, etc., etc. But there definitely should be, as there is and as there always has been, the most resistance towards being eaten up by the American military-industrial complex. It always has come from America's black community, from Muhammad Ali to Malcolm X to Martin Luther King and tens of thousands of other incredibly, incredibly brave people that have said, yo, why the fuck should I go and kill some dude abroad that I don't even know when my people are getting fucking annihilated on the streets over here? It's absolutely wild. And community leaders and so on should really, really press on this inside of their communities when it comes to any minority group in the United States. But that's easier said than done from my pasty ass fucking living in a completely different country. So I'm not like, oh, this is what you should do, this is what you deserve, this, etc., etc. Completely understand why this is systematically being pushed, and why people from the most fucked up, fucked over communities end up being the ones that carry guns that kill people in other extremely fucked up communities. There is an imperialism outwards and imperialism inwards in the imperial core, which we know as the United States of America. But if you do have a voice inside of the black community, and if you can in any way motivate them to stay away from using this as a method to get out, then you should. You absolutely should. But then I'm not going to sit here and blame you for taking whatever you can in order to save yourself from an economically extremely fucked up situation. It's not my fight to fight, as they say, because I don't live the experiences that these people have lived. But there isn't, especially looking externally. I'm sorry, but for people from abroad, especially seeing, great-grandchildren of people who have quite literally been enslaved and put on boats, going and actively fighting for the same nation that has done that to our ancestors, just looks, to us, it looks schizophrenic, But then you attach material analysis and you understand, why this is happening. And it's understandable that it is happening. But it is what it is. And it will be changed.
Invasion of Israel in October, U.S. military sites in Iraq and Syria have been attacked more than 160 times. Sunday's deadly attack sparked bipartisan condemnation and swift Republican calls to
happened in ancient Rome too. Yes, it happens in absolutely every country that can use their minorities to do as much dirty work as you want. You think it's not fucking happening in Russia? You think it's not happening in Ukraine? You think it's not happening in Israel? You think the Israelis aren't using every single ethnic minority, quote unquote, that they can use to push into Gaza to use as fucking meat? Of course they are, man. Jesus Christ. That is why Zionism should not be linked to Judaism in any way. They don't fucking care about anybody except rich and powerful members of the Israeli state. Same happens in every country. But the specific position in which the United States is in, right, that allows for an additional level of misuse and allows for an additional level of asking yourself why the fuck this is happening when you have minorities that are so massively exploited and yet you see them in uniform. But when we're talking about, regular army, et cetera, as we can say, this is, I'm not going to repeat everything that I just said. But honestly, and I'm going to say it out loud here, if you're like a super proud fucking Navy SEALs guy, fucking, wearing your badges that you offed 120 Iraqis, and you want me to sit here and concentrate on the fact that you have melanin instead of the fact that you worked your ass off to turn yourself into an ultimate fucking killing machine for empire. Fuck off, dude. Fuck off. I don't give a fuck about you, and nobody fucking should. There are no fucking excuses for that. Fuck you.
directly attack Iran now.
Russian.
Bro, Trump literally needs to do nothing. He's just doing the kick back and enjoy the show.
Because there is, I don't want to be fucking confused, not be confused, to be misread. There's a very big difference between an army guy that, is sitting on American territory or is stationed over there to be an engineer, etc., because they want to get out of the systematic poverty that they've been put into, and proudly becoming a fucking active military machine, okay? Mršu pičku materinu, bre, govno jedno.
Strategy. I feel like it is the dumbest thing you could do to put your entire lineage and like the re-election chances you have directly in the pooper in a blender and just blending that at the behest of a dude who very openly has mentioned Netanyahu.
Tell me if I'm wrong, Chad. I don't know.
Who's very openly mentioned that he hates you and does not want you to get reelected and wants Trump to get reelected. It does not make any sense that Brandon is expanding the conflict, making it worse, and every step of the way, the media is literally going, well, they're trying to retaliate in a way that doesn't escalate. And it's like, what do you mean? Pull out, pull back. This is ridiculous. Do diplomacy. Pressure Israel to stop doing genocide. It is both the moral position and the pragmatic one. Do you want to win the election or not?
The Pentagon has yet to identify the dead or their military units pending family notifications. Injuries could increase in the coming hours or days. And this is the largest loss.
Yeah, that's where the fucking epic joke comes from, Leisure Shot. American propaganda is super underrated. There was a joke, a KGB agent and the CIA agent during the Cold War are sitting and they're talking. And the CIA agent tells the KGB agent, man, you guys' propaganda machine is next level. Super impressive shit. You're the enemy, but I gotta say, wow, very, very, very impressive. The KGB guy turns around to him and says, what, ours is impressive? Dude, we are nowhere even close to what you guys are pulling off. And the CIA agent looks at him and says, what? Propaganda in the US? What the fuck are you talking about? Looks directly in the camera. Ha! The propaganda is so fucking good, they don't even think. They've normalized being fucked, okay?
Of life for the U.S. military to enemy action since the fall of Afghanistan.
It's so funny because it's like, bro, they keep escalating and then there's retaliation every single time. They keep escalating and there's retaliation. They keep escalating and there's retaliation. And then they just keep doing it over and over again. These guys do not care. Fighting against America solidifies their position, whether it be the Houthis, Allah, or whether it be Iran. Fighting against America makes them look good. They have the money, they have the willingness, they don't have anything else to lose in this circumstance. They stand to gain, they stand to benefit.
Yeah, the empire always feeds on itself. The empire always feeds on its outwards conflicts. You go, you annihilate. Place you annihilate responds. Then you say, what the fuck? Why did you just hurt so many of our soldiers and civilians? And you do what? You respond to that. Then the conflict gets bigger. Then they respond with even greater violence towards you. Then you say, oh my God, these guys are fucking unhinged. We need to do something about it.
There is no such thing as de-escalatory bombing. There's a calculation that one must make here. There is...
Yugopnik, you are watching a tanky streamer, by the way. Nando Tekua, I will drive a fucking tank through your house. Okay, how about that?
somewhat of a balance
Thank you,
to
lesson
endless
for the
military conquest. Too much chaos and too much war, it will lead to a situation of instability that actually is not good for profit. We want to max out profit. Ukraine is good for profit. Very little downsides. Very little impact in a negative way to the United States of America, with the exception of like OPEC plus, I guess. Israel, on the other hand, is profitable in the short term, not profitable if situation continues and escalates. Does that make sense? America is losing its soft power. It's just stupid. It makes no sense.
However it happened, it did. Three U.S. Servicemen are now dead, and the Middle East is...
Thank you, Anakin, for the $5. Housemates moved out this winter. Housemates moved out this winter, so for the first time, I'm living totally alone. Your live streams have helped me keep smiling while I'm adjusting. I'm glad. And you'll see, I don't know if they moved out forever, but you'll see, you will enjoy a roommate-less experience. And then afterwards, when you get a roommate that you get to, goon with, it's going to be even better. Okay, trust me. I mean, getting a partner. The Genetic M, thank you so much for the sub.
Bracing for the...
Well, how I said getting a partner is getting a roommate you can goon with. But isn't that at the end of the day? Yes, literally.
U.S. response.
Goon gaffa.
Attack on our base.
Yes.
And asking for public silence of all three of those falls.
The killing of American soldiers in the Middle East is the moment Joe Biden had been dreading. But the president is unequivocal about the next step.
Do you not think overthrowing the regime in Iran will be good? Most of the citizens in Iran want that. No. Dude, if you want to overthrow the regime in Iran, let the fucking Iranians do it. We don't get to have a say in this process because our interference in Iran is what caused the current regime in Iran to begin with. When will people understand? Like, we should not have a say in these affairs. Holy moly, dude. Says
exactly what I was talking about previously. The consequences of my actions. You do a coup, and then they do a coup on your coup. And then, obviously, the guys who did a coup on the coup that you cooed, a lot of coups, meine Mutter ist eine coup, end up not liking you, end up sending missiles sometimes at you because you cooed them before they did their coup. But then you sit down and they say, oh my God, they cooed my coup. All of that together is KKK. Dialectical materialism.
who? You? Yeah, I just don't understand, like, the mentality of the average American being like, I don't understand. Why don't we just, like, overthrow the regime in Iran? You think America's not trying? What do you think is going on? What do you think MEK is?
Or what do you think America will do next?
I think striking Shia-based militants in Iraq and Syria is almost a certainty that you're going to see that in retaliation. The real question is whether or not the U.S. is going to decide.
Man, are we we're doing World War III?
This
I guess
is all about Iran.
We're doing World War III. Then I gotta get ready for World War III. I'll get ready for World War III
against Iran directly in a way that we really haven't seen yet.
Isn't it also true that the crux of the matter is the war in Gaza? If the US were to address that more forcibly with Israel, is that not getting to the actual...
There's something wild about, like, Israel straight up murking hundreds of Palestinian Americans, including one in, like, the West Bank last week. And America just basically going, you know what we should do? We should cut the funding to the main refugee relief agency at a time when there is, like, straight up ethnic cleansing happening to the Palestinians. But then, like, 3 service members are bombed by an Iranian proxy. They're like, oh, it's time to nuke Iran. What are we talking about? And it's like, okay, where is the energy then? Like, what do you mean? Deal with Israel first. They have killed more American citizens than Iran has.
Well, earlier I spoke to the retired US General and former Supreme Allied Commander NATO.
Okay, Chad, we are ready for World War III.
What action he thinks the US
We got it proper. This is
crisis
World War
like
III
this,
streaming experience.
you have to
okay?
take
We gotta have
the initiative away
all
from
the fucking
the
equipment.
enemy.
The future of streaming is down in deep bunkers while you shoot at the enemy from your positions as you have your entire little phones right in front of you. The future of streaming is going to be very dangerous for all streamers. That's why I am selling for only $99.99 a proper streaming World War III kit, okay? You get to be camouflaged as you're streaming. We're going to release new products such as a thing you attach to your military helmet. So as you're shooting, you can. There's going to be an iPhone right here, so a mask right here, a GoPro to show your streaming buddies who you're fighting with, and an iPhone right here for you to watch videos that you're going to be reacting to, okay? Thank you, TM Threm, for the cheer. Yugopnik, please have my remaining bits. Love and solidarity, brother. Thank you very much for your bits. There we go. Okay, ready for some more World War III streaming. Let's continue.
What I would call it is you have to establish escalation dominance.
What unit am I going to be in? I'm going to be in the streamer com retrieval unit, okay?
You keep apologizing for escalating as they keep hitting.
Yes, I don't have a plate carrier on because I am defended by the gods of the stream, okay? We don't need plate carriers. We only do it for the aesthetics, baby.
So you got to hit back so hard that they say, okay, we've had enough. We're not going to strike back again. And that means you must go.
Time for a nuclear first strike, folks. Good stuff. Thank you, General Wesley Clark. There's real resistance in Iran. Arm them, stop bombing, and giving the Iranians the means to overturn the government. Dude, guys, stop. No, this is so dumb. Please stop armchair quarterbacking regime change in other countries, please. I promise you. That is what America does all the time. It is a demonstrable failure, please.
So that does mean that you're
With the glasses, my thumbness increases by, I think, 30%, okay?
talking about strikes in Iran
No armor
itself,
needed.
on
You have
Iranian
a,
territory.
you have a moral vest, comrade. I have a moral streaming vest. You know how expensive we're going to be in the war? They will be able to exchange one streamer for like 100 normal soldiers because we destroy them spiritually. We destroy them in their heart.
Yeah.
That would be,
Yugo
if I
engaged.
were in the chain of command, that's what I'd be recommending, because the tit for tat doesn't work. And we know that historically. We saw this when I was a young officer in Vietnam. Tit for tat doesn't work. You want to make a difference, you must use decisive force.
Yeah, Vietnam. So much tit for tat happened in Vietnam, which then was a decisive victory, I guess. You just brought up Vietnam, where we literally used a disproportionate use of force against a broadly civilian population, and then got our pushed it. What are you saying? Vietnam quite literally is a demonstration of decisive force.
Now have
being an
professional
epic
streaming
failure.
gloves.
You just
Professional tactical streaming gloves. These also have a touchscreen usage so that you can properly protect your fingers as you are fighting the enemy that your state has directed you at. Okay, selling everything like $99.99, $199.99. The plus 10 thumb glasses, I think they are $29.99. For regular subscribers, we get the price down to $15.
proved the entire opposite point that you were trying to make. Not only did we go absolutely balls to the wall in Vietnam in the least ethical ways possible in our illegal domination, but we also lost.
And how do you factor in American domestic politics here? Because
Thank you,
have
Avatar DM, for
Donald
the
Trump
DM for the stuff.
saying President Biden is leading you into World War III and saying none of this would have happened had he been president. How does that change the calculation as to what to do?
Well, I think that it's inevitable that there will be some effort on the part of politicians to make some domestic hay out of this. But I think statesmen have to rise above the domestic politics. And I think this is a case where President Biden has to choose what's right for.
The statement had to rise above domestic politics and bomb Iran. I want you to understand. He's saying Biden has to rise to the occasion to bomb Iran.
Isn't the other way to stop this, though, to stop the war in Gaza? You know, you stop that war in Gaza, you stop the Houthi attacks on ships.
We will stop the war by bombing. That has always worked and that will continue to work. Me, as a representative of the new streamer class, support all bombings because it creates a large amount of content. And more content is better for my streamer class. Fuck the bourgeois, fuck the proletarian. The stream class shall dominate. Content, content, content. And trust me, ladies and gentlemen, there will be plenty of content generated by you and by me, which basically means I'm going to watch your GoPros of you getting fucking whacked as you're shooting some Iranian over 3,000 miles away from where you live. And your mom, if they want to see your actual dead body after it was shot, will have to become a subscriber, okay?
Shipping, you stop these Iranian-backed attacks.
But be like, you're looking quite brown over there, talking to me about not bombing Iran and then taking away Israel from the equation. Excuse me. I'm talking about bipartisanly blowing up Iran. You're talking about pulling away from another conflict.
That's the key to it all, isn't it?
Well, I'm not sure that's a safe assumption. I think you could
Oh, yeah, dude, totally.
stop the war in Gaza. You'd still have these attacks. You still have interference in shipping whenever Iran wants to do it. The war in Gaza is a convenient excuse for Iran to continue a long-term campaign to drive the United States out and to establish itself as.
This is so funny. Bro, if it's a convenient excuse, why not try it and test it out? And also, why has it not happened prior to the Gaza invasion? Like, he's taking the maximalist position here. He's saying, like, no, we have to kill everyone in Iran. I hope you guys understand his position, even before Israel.
But to an extent, it is the best position to have. Like, that's the only way for you not to do the loop. You have to kill absolutely everybody in that country. But then you're fucked up because you don't have, there's people that are emigres. There's always going to be a few that survive, etc., etc. And then they come back. But then when they come back, they do some violent thing. And then you use that violent thing to start another genocidal war. Sometimes they do it from another country, or you say that they did it from another country. A bunch of Saudis blew up a bunch of buildings. So they invaded Iraq. That never happened before. It's always a win for the empire, man. The empire can always find a reason to fucking go at one place. That is the main problem with the analysis of these American-centric leftists, as I like to call them, and more like libs, fucking lib living is they say, you know, if America doesn't do this, somebody else is going to do it, and it's going to be far worse, etc., etc. Or, oh, how do we not respond to this one particular or two particular or 20 particular bad things that some representatives or non-representatives of a particular state have done? You know, if we do not react, then what is going to happen, etc., etc. Well, my friend, that's a constant... Chat knows what I'm going to say. It's a constant snake fucking eating its own ass, my brother. The reason you're in this situation in the first place is because you went over and killed somebody's fucking aunt and uncle 10 years ago. So what? You should kill somebody's aunt and uncle now so that it fucking continues to repeat itself. It's a never-ending fucking cycle. And they always win in this cycle. Because why wouldn't they win in this cycle? That's exactly what they want. The empire needs to fucking feed on itself. And it will send, as they say, the wealthy will send their cows and the poor will send their fucking sons.
Israel, even before the Houthis, is to end Iran. His argument is, let's kill as many people as possible. I don't know how else he can make it clearer here. He just said, Iran will always have the capacity to strike ships at the Red Sea no matter what, which implies that the real problem isn't even the Houthis, it's Iran. This is one school of thought in the State Department that we have advocated for in perpetuity. You have the John Boltons of the world obviously saying this kind of dumb shit.
Advisor to President Trump, Ambassador John Bolton.
As well. It's psychotic because it's like becoming a bipartisan consensus almost. Holden Blood Feast, Republican Iowa, 118 years old. Please, God, just let us nuke Iran. Nothing else matters. I'll do anything. One last time before I die. Respectable.
Let me give that shit, bro. Let me give that shit.
Good stuff.
It's a regional hegemon. And so I think we have to be careful. Although it's popular in the press to pull all this together, in fact, it's entirely different. For Israel, what's happening in Gaza is an existential threat. Israel cannot...
That's crazy. Yeah, Israel...
No existential threat. It's always an existential threat, which leads to another existential threat, and another existential threat, which leads to another existential threat. So stop it all and actually engage in nuclear warfare so I can be fucking done with this. This is not the type of content I want to fucking react to. Give me some fucking radioactive eyes and some fucking fourth limb, okay? I already barely have 3 limbs, if you know what I mean.
Israel is an existential threat. Iran is an existential threat to the United States. Palestinians are an existential threat to Israel. It always feels like there's an existential threat out there to like America and America's allies, man. It's crazy. He's like, it's not connected. They're just totally valid in doing what they're doing.
Continue business as usual with Hamas embedded in tunnels with weapons being...
Yeah, by the way, Israel's doing so good in Gaza that they still... Yeah, no, I know it's Beanie Tuesday. Original artist, by the way. Yeah, I've been following him for a long time.
Well, I then spoke to Syed Mohammed Marandi, who's a professor at the University of Tehran. And I began by asking what he thinks would happen if the United States took that kind of military action against Iran.
It would.
Oh, we need professional analysts to tell us what would happen. We do not have 11, 12 wars started in the capitalist post and Cold War era and post-Cold War era interaction between the United States and other countries that they have militarily intervened with. What happens is they go, they fuck it up, then they fucking leave. And then the places they fucked up do something, and then they say we need to come back, or we need to bomb the shit out of their neighbor because they launched some missiles from their fucking neighboring state. It's the best allegory for this is when they put the fucking nukes in Turkey, and then they were like, "What the fuck is this fucking shit?" The Soviets are now putting nukes in Cuba. Fucking what is this provocation? This ends all discussion of peace.
Bring down
consequences and actions, my friends. Consequences and actions.
The global economy, because Iranian military forces will respond decisively against American military bases.
Don't feed the Russian China-backed Iran troll. Oh my God. Former Supreme Commander of NATO ignoring the Russian nesting doll that is this Iranian trap. The Russian nesting doll. Listen, chatter. Iran's actions, or rather Hamas and Israel's retaliation to Hamas, has been genuinely beneficial for Russian interests. That is true. But I think we have to remember that, we are massively culpable in the way that we change our attention and direct our attention into Gaza rather than Ukraine. Like, it is in a way no different than saying like, well, Hamas made Israel do genocide in Gaza. It's like, oh, Russia is making America shift their resources away from Ukraine and into Israel so that Israel can do a genocide. I don't know what to tell you, but like at a certain point,
yeah, and Russia is making people protest the genocide in Gaza over in the United States. And Russia is finding destabilizing factors inside of the Republican and Democratic Party. And China is paying for the destabilizing factors in the Democratic Party. And it's always some foreign fucking influence that is coming over to completely fucking make us, really push us, really force us into going and blowing up a few more fucking weddings. We don't really want to go and blow up a few fucking weddings. It's always them making us go and blow up up a few fucking weddings. This is this fucking American circle jerk of cope inspired war profiteering has existed since the fucking country's inception, and it will continue existing as long as it defines itself as the global unifying fucking only country that is allowed to be a fucking cop. Okay, what do they call them? The geopolitical police force, which is the United States of America. Fucking hell, man. I'll keep my vest in the back so that I can continue shilling it to you for $99.99.
We have a little bit of culpability.
Bro, just please, bro, just one more airstrike, bro. Just one more airstrike. Just one more, please, bro.
Across the region and in the Persian Gulf in particular, and those regimes in the Persian Gulf that host U.S. bases would be seen as hostile, and therefore their key oil and gas infrastructure would be not out of bounds.
And so the question of retaliation is there's no doubt in your mind, because General Clark argues that, the
two aren't linked, and I'm fairly sure Hezbollah wasn't attacking across Israel's northern border. The Houthis weren't firing missiles at drones and ships in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden, and the level of attacks in Syria and Iraq were not the same before October 7th. Yeah, anyone that says that these concepts are not linked are wrong. Of course they're linked. It's Israel being an American proxy and everyone else in the region either having a genuine interest in emancipation and also operating as an Iranian proxy, or just operating straight up as an Iranian proxy.
The government in Tehran is not popular with the whole population, and that a decisive military strike might make it stop and pause and say, no, this is where we back off.
Thank you, Anonymous.
I think when Trump murdered the Iranian general who led the fight against ISIS and Al-Qaeda in Syria and Iraq, ISIS and Al-Qaeda, which the Americans and their allies helped create, when the United States murdered him, we saw the millions of people in Tehran go to his funeral. I think the Americans should not believe their own propaganda.
What is Iran's strategy? Is it trying to say, unless you stop the bombing in Gaza, all of this is going to get worse?
That's not an Iranian strategy. That's clear as day to everyone. The United States likes to think, or likes to pretend, and your government likes to pretend, that everyone in this region is an Iranian proxy. Yemen is an Iranian proxy. Lebanon is an Iranian proxy. Hamas is an Iranian proxy.
But the United States has no proxies.
Iraqis, and if that's the case, then we are the superpower, not the United States.
But all of those structures do get support from Iran, don't they? There are Iranian Revolutionary Guard in Syria. You send weapons to the Houthis. It's clear that there are clear lines. So I'm just trying to work out what is the strategy to stop Israel, or what is the current Iranian government strategy?
As long as this continues.
Thank you again, Anonymous. Who is this chatter called Anonymous? He keeps, or she or they keep giving subs to everybody, man. Very active chatter, this Anonymous. Psh.
The situation is going to get...
Me when I was 12 and I opened, not 12, but 14, and I opened like 4chan and 8chan for the first time, and everybody in all the lines is Anonymous. And I make my first post or whatever, and I don't use Anonymous. I actually write my name. The amount of shit I was given by everybody. New user. But no, many Anons around the world, many different types of Anons.
Worse. And have no doubt that the United States will not...
No, you know who's Anonymous? I have begged for she-bucks, okay? I have begged for she-bucks, and we are finally receiving she-subs, my friend. The Chinese are fucking giving subs to my chat. If somebody fucking links Anonymous to that, then I'm fucked. I'm forever going to be defined as the traitor of my true American ways.
Not win this battle.
So just remember, whenever we get any sort of Anon sub or Anon gift or Anon tip through Streamlabs, it's foreign money. Okay, it's foreign money.
Do you think?
To me, it's always foreign money. The joke itself eats itself because I don't live in the States. But okay, whatever.
We are now on the road to a big escalation.
Or Iran, because I am spilling a lot of pro-Iranian shit up in here. They're giving me that good Islamist Republic money, man. That very very good shit, man.
I mean, really,
that halal cash.
A world war.
I don't think the United States is that stupid to launch an attack on Iran, because it will destroy the world economy. And the United States is already losing the war in Ukraine, and in its competition with China, it's not doing well at all. This is not a war that the Americans can win. It will definitely lose.
I mean, that's very interesting, because it's exactly what General Clark said is the Iranian view, that as long as they think America won't attack them with full force, they will carry on doing what they're doing. And
isn't that like the most convenient argument you can ever use to attack absolutely any country? Lord.
And you're sort of illustrating that point.
Have no doubt, Iran is fully prepared for an American strike. But the United States will feel...
I mean, yeah, chatters, this is the current Chinese strategy. This is the current Chinese strategy, pretty much. This is it. Just let them just fucking keep tripping over their own shit, man. That they previously shut out. That's it.
The consequences immediately. Iran is not Yemen. Iran is not Iraq. Iran is not Syria, and it's not Hamas. It's not even Vietnam. The United States would be making the greatest miscalculation of the 21st century and the 20th century combined.
Mr. Morandi, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
I like that Wesley guys stop posting Millennium Challenge. I know. They had to they got owned by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard in the Millennium Challenge. I know. I've talked about it a million times over. The real problem is that this dude is kind of riding Iran too hard. He's right. He's not wrong, I think. Partially because, like, it would be, I guess it'd be the closest to World War III. How is he riding Iran hard? He said Iran would retaliate aggressively and it would genuinely create danger for the global economy. You can't say this dude is kind of riding Iran too hard. The global economy will get destroyed, question mark, when simultaneously so many people are losing their minds over.
I mean, what are we talking about here? The genocide in Gaza is massively impacting the world economy. We can't have fucking ships pass through the strait. The war in Ukraine is massively impacting the world economy. You think a war in Iran would not massively impact the world economy? That a potential war in Taiwan would not massively impact the world economy? Dude, the fucking Kazakhstan invades Turkmenistan or some shit. So two countries that most of you chatters probably can't even find on the map. It will massively influence the global economy. But whenever the world's most powerful fucking state goes and actually militarily, physically, through troops, etc., intervenes in a place, the impact is X10, obviously, because it's the big guy that's participating, and when the big guy jumps in the pool, the waves are the fucking widest.
Russia's ship, but gas prices are stabilized? Brother, I don't think you understand. Russia did that to Ukraine. Iran would be doing it to Saudi Arabia and many other places. Like, the idea that, like, these two things are the same. Like, you're not getting your energy from Ukraine. And even then, Russia itself, due to the sanctions, decided to over the United States. Like, OPEC Plus is a big part of the reason why our gas prices were absolutely destroyed. That was for limitations on supply, artificial limitations on supply. Imagine having real limitations on supply, real limitations caused by straight up rockets falling on top of the refineries. Doesn't Iran have one of the weakest economies right now? And the Houthis are disrupting trade, but the world adapted pretty quickly. Don't get me wrong, but it would hurt the world economy. Guys, this isn't to say like, oh, dude, Iran would win or anything like that. I'm just simply saying, if you have nothing to lose and you stand to gain a tremendous amount, you can do an incredible return on investment with like very little funds. If the Houthis aren't a perfect example of that, I don't know what else to tell you. The Houthis are not like the Ansar Allah administration is coming off of the heels of a genocide. You have Hezbollah, not in great economic circumstances in Lebanon, but still, that's like a standing operational military, much better weapons. And then you have Iran. It genuinely does not take much, but in comparison to what Iran has, well, it has a lot more than Hezbollah does. It has a lot more than Yemen does, certainly. I'm trying to explain to you that if Iran started directly targeting the energy infrastructure that the rest of the world relies on, I mean, due to its very obvious capabilities that they've demonstrated already, if they did that across the board, that would genuinely tank the global economy. I don't know how to describe it. I'm not saying like, you know how like Americans will be like, oh, dude, my dad's beat up your dad's style. And they talk about like, oh, dude, America's not going full force. If they were going full force, like it would be over. It'd be over.
Thank you, foreign superpower, for the sub.
That's not how wars are fought. It's not like you just like throw humans in the pile and just like cause them to get grinded by the meat grinder. Well, that's kind of how Russia fights its wars, but America doesn't fight wars like that. It is a calculation. It is a war of attrition, and it is a war fought on economic grounds. A lot of people have this kind of attitude where they genuinely think like, you know, it's like a Pokemon battle or something. And it's like, well, I have the stronger Pokemon. I have the better weapons. It's like, no, dude, why do you think Vietnam was a loss? Why do you think Afghanistan was a loss? Do you think America simply wasn't going hard enough on Afghanistan or Vietnam, as a matter of fact? Do you think we are not stronger than the Taliban? John Kirby goes mask off when asked if Biden is going to look at the American people for his decision making.
Follow up because
I mean, this is not worth even commenting on. People that believe that war is a linear battle in which you take 100,000 of your soldiers and throw them at the 60,000 of your enemy soldiers, and they just duke it out. And because you have better equipment and better training and more funding, you will eventually win in the particular conflict. Every single war impacts the economy to an insane fucking extent. And a region such as in the Middle East, in which America has already lost like 700 times, even though by losing it has completely debilitated the local economies and complete states in that particular parts of the world, not ending up in a similar manner when it fights quite literally the strongest non-allied state in the Middle East is absolutely fucking batshit insane. But engaging in this sort of conversation at all is fucking stupid, because it implies that we would want that you should go to war because you think you can win, and only because of that. I mean, the only reason we're talking about this is because three fucking soldiers died placed in a base that has no business existing where it's existing, and the consequences we are seeing right now of basically 70% of the planet unifying in a very direct anti-American perspective are consequences of such foreign policy that they've had in the past. This works like a snowball effect, and if you don't think it does, then I don't know, you've never seen a fucking empire crumble ever in your life. At least you haven't. I mean, nobody has seen it, but you haven't read about it at least. It's a lose-lose and a win-win, like, for everybody except it's a lose for absolutely everybody except the capitalists that are in power. And funny enough, sometimes it's a loss even for them when their good old stock prices start disbalancing.
The president was sent a letter on Friday from a bipartisan group of lawmakers, and he had been accused of unauthorized strikes against the Houthis and by bypassing Congress. They said no president, regardless of political party, has the constitutional authority to bypass Congress on matters of war. Do you think?
Thank you, Richard Flex, for the $5. To show American has learned nothing from a forever war in Afghanistan, America ponders another forever war in Iran, Yemen, and Lebanon. Yeah, it's classic. And they're going to blame it on Iran, Yemen, and Lebanon.
I think that would apply here, given this escalation.
We're not at war with the Houthis. We're not looking for a war with Iran. The president is comfortable that he has the appropriate legal authorities to act in self-defense of our ships, our sailors, and our troops in our facilities at sea or ashore.
Right. Isn't it time to involve the American people? I mean, given the fact that the American people were not happy about,
I suspect the American people are not happy about it.
The worst thing you can have happen with an empire in a death spiral is it choosing not to go quietly. And we can only hope that that doesn't happen, because that is scary shit. That is scary shit. No matter how much we masturbate to a multipolar world, etc., which is, by the way, nowhere even close to happening, but, I don't want to doompill anybody. There are very serious potential consequences of the imperial core falling apart. But for people with revolutionary socialist mentality, as fucked up as it sounds, it needs to get worse before it gets better, because that is how you truly, truly birth revolutionary spirit.